Welcome to the Straight Red Card, and in this show, we will talk about Jesse Marsch's, well, they said he wasn't fired, and that Jesse had come to them several times and said, am I the right man for the job? And we'll talk about that as well. But also just to clear up a Twitter thing, Jimmy Conrad will be coming on our show. And when I was complaining that Jimmy had written me back, you have to understand, it's a 10-year-old email that probably doesn't work anymore, or he doesn't use anymore. And he doesn't really go on his Facebook page anymore. I was kidding and joking around about it.
At the very minimum, even if he does use it, I guarantee you his inbox is booming, you know.
I'm sure his new email ends with gaycalazzo.com. Kcalazzo.
Okay, good. I think you said gay Calazzo.
No, Kcalazzo.com. No, I'm just kidding there. It might end with CBS.
And that's why our inbox is packed. No.
But so this whole thing with Jimmy was not a real conflict, folks, that we were kidding around, but we do thank you for bringing it up and bringing it to Jimmy's attention that, hey, we've been reaching out to you and not been able to
clearly
get
did a much better job than we did.
No shit. I mean, we should have just had these guys do it at the beginning, but listen, I mean, the last time we talked to Jimmy was a long time ago, and I'm sure his emails changed. Yes. Yeah, I mean, so we were kidding when we were joking around about him not replying to us and ignoring us. It was a joke. We were joking. We were kidding around. We didn't break our hearts or anything. We love Jimmy. We loved having him on the show.
We were gonna get him back on our show, or an answer of why he wouldn't be on our show.
Exactly. Eventually,
we get a response.
Brett would have tweeted him. We would have figured it out.
I think I keep forgetting that on Twitter they have DMs, and I could easily have just DM'd him.
Yeah, I mean, you're listening to me struggle getting a hold of Jimmy, and you don't go do that. I don't know what's wrong with you.
There's no way of contacting him, man. No, if you look at our DMs, I think we have like 3 DMs in the whole our entire Twitter history. That's a sad thing. It's just. It never crosses my mind because I don't tend to spend that much time on Twitter. I respond to you guys because I love talking with you guys, and I go on and find just topics and various things like that. But man, I do not brush the deepest and darkest crevices of Twitter by any means.
All right, that's probably a good idea because those are usually dirty and full of shit. Let me look at this real quick and see if I do have Jimmy's phone. I do have his phone number. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I just do what I did with Brian and just
what number is that again?
I'm not gonna publish that. So this is all
I would have cut you off, but no.
This is all on me, Brad. It's not. I screwed up. I should have just. I didn't know. For whatever reason, I didn't know I still had his phone number. Anyhow, I do. So this is all on me. And Jimmy, we're looking forward to having you on the show. And I think Jimmy said in a tweet what would be on the show, and then you guys communicated individually. And
yeah, I'm going to work with you and figure out your schedule and see what works for Jimmy. Go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to actually wait for something to happen, because nothing's happening.
You also have to take into consideration that with his work, he works with CBS, so he might be busy on certain hotspot time periods. We got January window coming up, but then again, we have a long time before the January window comes up, so maybe, who knows?
Could be. Yeah, I mean, it's a boring time for us coming up here, right? As far as soccer goes, not as far as life goes, because
we got the weekend reports.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, things are always awesome when the U.S. men's national team are playing. And that's when it's the hot times, right? So this is going to be, we have Camp Cupcake and the game against Bosnia. So that's sort of interesting. But honestly, I'd rather talk about a lot of different things other than that game because it's really not that interesting.
I guess it all depends on who Berhalter plays.
I guess I'm just ruining all our future shows and views. So
don't watch us until January 27th, guys.
Every show will suck and be boring. Speaking of sucking and being not boring, but sucking enough that he was let go, and that was Jesse Marsch. And I had been warning in the last couple weeks that if the losses kept coming, and there were 3 in a row, that his job might be in jeopardy. Although I said
you would have listened to our show
as well. I think in a week ago, I said that they're going to give him some time, I think. But then I didn't see him losing 3 games in a row. I really didn't. I didn't see it happening. I guess he wasn't even there for this loss because he was under COVID protocols. So he'd even get to coach the last.
Oh, that's not fair. They should at least give him one chance.
Yeah, he didn't even get to manage the last game that he was a manager, which sucks. But, I can really understand it, Brett, from Leipzig's point of view.
Sure.
They've never been 11th this time of the season, 14 games into the season, you're 11th. Bochum is ahead of you. Köln is ahead of you. That's Cologne for those of you who don't speak German, but it is Köln. That's just crazy. You wouldn't expect that, especially if you look at the budgets of all the teams I just mentioned. So I get why they did it, but I think the most awkward thing was that the team principal, or whatever you want to call him, president, I don't know what they call this guys, but he came out in the papers, Ein Sport, I think it was, and said that, Jesse had already approached him twice and said he wasn't sure he was the right man for the job. That's fucking weird. Why would you say that to your boss? Does that make any sense? Do you think he actually said that? Yeah, I'm not sure I'm the right man for the job.
Maybe if you throw some context in there,
Well, go ahead.
Maybe the president's like, dude, you suck as a fucking manager. Maybe Marsh is being kind of sarcastic. Well, maybe I'm not the right man for the job.
All right. Well, let's give it some context, because here's the context. All right.
You set me up for that?
Yeah, I did.
Little shit.
Here's the context. All right. The context is that when Nagelsmann took over Leipzig, prior to that, they were a gegenpressing team, high press.
Team. What? Oh, okay.
Gegenpressing. So it's called in Germany. Go pressing, move. Blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, and that means when you lose the ball, you immediately attack, you press high, lots of running involved there. But when Nagelsmann took over Red Bull, he was not a Red Bull insider. And so he turned the team into a sort of more of a possession-based squad, right? Mm-hmm. And the gegenpressing that was originated by Sandgren. What is his name again? The new manager of Man United. I always mispronounce his name so badly.
Well, I could not pronounce it if I had it in front of me, but I don't have it in front of me.
Well, I'm gonna look it up because I
sent it to you in a text, actually. Boop, boop, boop. Rangnick. Rangnick.
Rangnick. Yes, Ralph Rangnick. He was the one.
Once again, you set me up, you fucker.
He brought the whole gegenpressing, approach. He is the father of that in many ways. He's not the only one to do it. Other teams have done it before, but he's the one who said, well, this is how I'm going to play constantly. He left, and then there were other guys that came after him at Red Bull who continued that tradition. But then when Nagelsmann took over, he said, yeah, we are not going to do that. And sometimes that's because the players don't really want to run their asses to death constantly. And they did have some very skilled players at the time. Sabitzer, the guy who left, who was the center back. They've lost like 3 players, I think, essential players who were really good at possessing and moving the ball around. And that worked. It worked so good that Nagelsmann is now the manager of Bayern Munich. That's how good it worked. And then you lose some of your really key players, and then you take over and it's Jesse Marsch, and he tries to bring back the press, the high press, and the players are like, nah, I don't want to do it. And they don't do it. And when they do it, they don't do it well. And that's kind of what happened. And I think what Marsch was expressing to the owner was, in the quote, was, well, they're not exactly doing what I want, and it doesn't seem like you want to do that anymore, this high press. So maybe I'm not the right guy for you. Maybe you need to find another Nagelsmann or somebody like that, because I thought this whole plan was you're bringing me here to do the Red Bull thing, the high press Red Bull thing, and then we're not really, I mean, you just want wins, and I'm trying to get them to do what I'm trying to tell them to do. So that's kind of part of the issue there, right? It's stylistic. They'd rather win and play like Nagelsmann than stick to the style that Red Bull at one point were espousing as their style. So there you go. I hope that helps with and so I think maybe that's why Jesse said, maybe I'm not the guy for you. Maybe you need to get somebody else who plays more like Nagelsmann, but I'm playing my way. I don't think that Jesse Marsch was begging to be fired, though. And that's kind of what I heard on ESPN FC today. It's like, I don't think he went in there and said, hey, maybe you need to fire me because I'm not the man for the job. That's not how it was put.
Yeah, that sounds too bitch made. And that doesn't seem like Marsch by any means.
I think Marsch was saying to them, hey, are we going to play the Red Bull way or not? If you want me to do something different than the Red Bull way, like Nagelsmann did, maybe I'm not the man for the job for you then, because I'm doing it the Red Bull way, and now you guys don't want to do it the Red Bull way. That's how the conversation really went down. I'm telling you, that's how it went down. It wasn't like Marsch showed up. I mean, they had one of the games he showed up after a win, and they had this conversation apparently in the German press. There's no way you have that conversation after a win.
You don't think Marsch went in there and goes, oh, geez, we're just not playing that well. Maybe I'm not the best man for this job. Maybe you need to get somebody better. You don't think that was the case?
That was the frustrating thing about listening to Stevie Nichols and the Jamaican goalkeeper guy on ESPN FC. Forgot his name again. That's crazy. I would forget his name. That's insane. But that's how my brain has deteriorated.
I can't think of his name either, to tell you the truth.
But anyhow, they both were like, yeah, this is just, he's so naive to go in there and tell them he's not the man for the job. That is not how the conversation happened. That is how that guy may have framed the conversation, because he's making himself look good as if he didn't just fire the guy, that he had impetus to do it. But the point is that Jesse Marsch would have gone in there and said, listen, I'm trying to do it the Red Bull way, and now you're telling me it's not working, so I need to do something different, and I'm not going to, because I do it the Red Bull way. And they're like, well, do it like Nagelsmann. He's like, I can't do it like Nagelsmann. I do it my way. And my way wasn't working with the players, obviously, because they weren't performing. Although there were a lot of really good performances that didn't amount to anything in Champions League and otherwise. So, yeah, I don't know what to say, except for it was bound to happen. We've been warning, you can't lose that many. You can't be 11th after 14 games in the Bundesliga. You're going to lose your job.
Shit just wasn't meshing.
No, it wasn't. So
rumors are he's
possibly
on his way off to Man U. I think
it's almost been confirmed at this point. I'm pretty sure
maybe
it's
I don't know.
Close to being confirmed. And it would make sense, because when Jesse went over there originally to become an assistant coach at Leipzig and go through his training, our good boy Rangnick, I'm just going to call him Ralph from here on out. Our good boy Ralph was the manager of Red Bull, and he was the one incorporating this playing approach at Red Bull and doing it well. And that's where Jesse got his learning. And then he went to Salzburg, and of course he did well at Salzburg. And so there you go.
And who would honestly be surprised that an offensive-minded player would like to coach a very offensive-minded team?
Yes,
high press, constant attacking. Yeah, who would have thunk?
Mm-hmm.
Good name.
And Ralph, didn't just come up with this on his own. I mean, he learned it from watching other coaches and managers he played against, and he said, I'm going to incorporate that into the way I do things. And so it would not shock me if Jesse Marsch ended up at Man United as an assistant coach, but that's not really a big deal. I mean, you're assistant coach, you're assistant manager, you're going to do assistant things. You have input, obviously, but you're not making the final decision. And
but as you pointed out, though, it's a role that he was accustomed to a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
So
I just want go ahead.
I'm just saying he's mid-season getting shit canned, and this is an opportunity for him to be an assistant coach at a top tier team in a top tier league to continue education and move, and then he has opportunity moving forward from there. Right now, he's looking at his opportunities. I feel like this may not be like an amazing upgrade or any upgrade by any means, but it gives them opportunities. So that's all that really matters.
It might. I don't know. I mean, there was this one report, I think it was Deadspin, that I read, where like, the one thing that U.S. coaches and managers can't do is crack the top 5 leagues. Well, just got to remind you, there's still one there. His name's Pellegrino Matarazzo, and he's at Stuttgart. And so I don't know if you can make that claim just because Jesse Marsch failed.
Yeah, it's a silly argument to be made because you're talking about a very small percentage of people that can do well in that position, because you're looking overall of a number of players who've come up through that system and still failed to manage in that system. I mean, it's like it's a small percentage, of course. I mean, there's a small percentage of South Korean coaches that have succeeded in the top. How
about Filipino coaches?
I'm just saying, or exactly.
Indian coaches.
Who would have thought that the top European? It's a very small percentage that are very successful, and they recycle the same fucking coaches.
Has an Australian ever managed a Premier League team? I mean, come on. As a New Zealander,
it's a dumb argument to be made. Yes.
It is. It's like, get off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Pellegrino Matarazzo's still there.
Yeah.
And it looks like he'll probably hold on to his job through this season.
Mm-hmm.
This thing didn't work out for Jesse. It's unfortunate. I'm just interested to see where he ends up after here. I mean, I would hate to see him back in MLS. I hope he continues to start this. And no, he is not taking the United States men's national team job anytime soon.
He's got a year, and then he can take it.
But he's not going to, because Greg's going to get us qualified, and Greg's going to be the coach, the manager during the next World Cup. Let's just embrace that.
You're talking about? Are you suggesting that he'll be the manager for 2026?
He could be. He could be.
I've always been against.
Let's say he gets out of the group. I know you have been, but if he gets out of the group and gets us into, out of the group and into, knockout round, I think he lives to survive another 4 years.
How has that worked for any of the other coaches that have got us out of the group and into
didn't work well for Bruce.
Didn't work for Bruce. Didn't work for Bradley. Didn't work for Klinsmann.
Okay.
Every single person who's got us out of the group stage following cycle has struggled because they failed to adapt and move forward, and then all of a sudden they get shit canned halfway through the cycle.
Or if you're Arena, you get a second World Cup and it's awful. So listen, yes, it's bound to happen. That there's a good percentage chance that there will be another U.S. manager in the next 6 years. Or at this
hopefully,
point,
if Berhalter does well enough with the United States national team in the World Cup, assuming we qualify, which we should, that he garners interest, that he would like to move on from the U.S. national team.
No, that's not going to happen. Look how much interest Klinsmann garnered.
Well, I mean, he had opportunities elsewhere besides the United States national team. I mean, he did so well with Bayern. Prior to that. I mean,
all right.
So I mean,
I just hope people know you're joking.
I mean, Well, you couldn't see my eyes rolling when we don't record our faces.
I just have to be really clear. He was not good at Bayern. He's never been that good anywhere he's gone. Sorry. And then Bruce, just went back to MLS. No shocker there. Bradley, tried his deal with Egypt, and then in, Swansea. Europe, and then the massive, very short cutoff at Swansea City. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
You kind of got short end stick there, but
he didn't get much time. He really didn't.
But it
was a very different Bob Bradley. I mean, the way Swansea City was playing was really crazy compared to where you think of some of the other rescue managers that come in the Premier League who are like, yeah, we're going to stop from being relegated. They're very bunkerish. They defend. I mean, you think it's Steve Bruce. You think, all right, we're just going to play counterattacking ball. We're going to make sure you can't score, and then we're going to try to nip a goal here and there. Bob didn't try to do that. He just went balls out, and they didn't give him enough time. And he's kind of bitter about that, honestly. Yeah. He really is. He's mentioned in numerous interviews that he felt like he got the short end of the stick.
Good for him.
Right in the old anal tube.
You need to kiss ass to the people who fucked you over. Fuck that shit.
Yeah. All right. In the last show, we're going to take your questions. And I'm glad we settled the Jimmy thing. Just so Jimmy knows we're not insane and we weren't the ones.
Oh, we're a little insane.
No, we are, but we were kidding about that whole thing. It was not serious. All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, and hit the bell. Bing. All right. Bye.